Good evening and welcome to Coffee Talk. Joseph Moore, welcome. Thank you for coming. The Bud Files. Three in the house, two likes. Uncle Al, I Bullfrog 79. How has the weather been? Oh, we haven't gotten much rain recently. We get a little bit. It hasn't been really hot. Um, at nighttime, it's in the 60s or low 70s. During the daytime, it's in the mid 80s. I was looking at the projected weather for this coming weekend for the camping trip to Coletto Creek. It'll be in the high 80s during the day. It'll be in the low 70s to high 60s at night. So, not supposed to rain. It'll be good weather for this time of year. Eddie O'Neill, welcome, Eddie O'Neill. Claudette, welcome. How you doing, young lady? East Texas is getting flood alerts. Yeah, it's supposed to be raining up around Houston. Houston is a couple hours north of me, and they've got issues with weather up there. It is interesting what a couple of 100 miles can do for the weather, one way or another. East Texas is what's called the Piney Woods area. That's where they've got all the big pine trees. And it's also where you've got that Texas, the so called Texas accent, where you sound like a hick. That's that East Texas accent. That doesn't come from my part of the neighborhood. I don't know of anybody who would tell me that I sound like I'm from Texas. The Ungrateful Peasant. Hello, Wayne. Welcome. And Becoming Dangerous. So I will tell you from my own observations. from my own observations. I've done three. I think I've done three. I think I've done three shorts today. I don't know. Each one of them has over 400 views. I was looking at dropping another one. You know, they hit 400 and they slow way down. You know, just slow way down when they hit around 400, and that's a successful one. I have some that get like less than 100. I have one that has 25 views that I dropped last week. 25 views. I don't know. I believe it's the subject matter of what I'm doing my shorts on. The titles and the subject matter. If the algorithm likes, if I'm being a good boy and I'm doing food, or you know, I'm doing something other that's a pet or the garden, or you know, if I do something other that doesn't offend, it gets a lot more views. You know, the algorithm will push it out. Whereas if it's something other that they don't like, you know, they do everything they can to squash it. The Black Widow channel. Hello, Black Widow. You know, Widow, I have heavily played and viewed a lot, but played your stuff to where I'm at the point where I have to go back a ways to find something I have not played or viewed. Now, I can't speak for the last several days because I'm, you know, I'm really behind. I'm slow right now. I'm behind. But I get, you know, I play, and I always leave a like. And what disgusts me is somebody can put out some really good content, you know, put out something that's really good, and they'll get a handful of likes. And it may be that they get 300, 400, 500 views. I look at a lot of stuff like shorts. Same thing with comments. They get very few comments. I usually leave a comment and a like. I always leave a like, and I usually leave a comment. And it, you know, it just, I can understand that you get a short that has like 500 views, and it's got like 5 likes and 3 comments. You know, I don't understand that. You know, I don't understand it. And I am drinking from a Burger King. Uncle Al likes Burger King. A Burger King from a soda. The ice melted, but still tastes good. That's from my lunch, a late lunch. So, I had a nice conversation with a young man this afternoon who contacted me, and we were talking prepping, and we were talking families and talking stuff, and he's younger than I am. I got 20 some odd years on him, and you know, we were talking, and I was talking about preps and things to do, and you know, what I put in the goodie box, and you know, the idea I send a goodie box, and it's got stuff that's useful for preparedness when you have a situation where the power's out and the water's not running. You're basically, what you have in your cabinets or your pantry or whatever, the water that you have bottled water, you have bottles, such. That's what you have. That's what you have. How long will that last? And we were talking about the idea of like bugging out. A carry bag, a get home bag, a bug out bag. The bug out bag is not designed that this is what you're gonna live the rest of your life with. That's all you're gonna have. The idea of the bag are useful items that will help you when you're going from point A to point B. If it takes a couple of days, that will keep you warm overnight. That'll have some food in it. You'll have some water. You'll have a means to make light. You'll have something that can keep you warm. Maybe a change of clothes, socks, underwear, gloves, a poncho or some such. That's what you carry and maybe some of your medication. You have spare medication. That's what you carry in your bag. Maybe you got a pistol in there, mace, pepper spray, a taser, you know, multi-tool. That's what's in a compass, a map, emergency radio. That's what's in your carry bag. You know, it's not that I'm going to go out and you know be out in the woods for the rest of my life, which will be very short. It'll be short-lived out in the woods. Now, if you're talking about a piece of property that you own where you've got a well, you've got solar set up, you got power source, you've got a nice structure out there that you can live in, keep you warm. You got food out there. Maybe you got a garden growing, orchard. That's different. That's different. That's your likely situation to be out in the middle of nowhere, and a means to defend yourself. Yeah, that's a good idea. But I'm gonna go out into the woods and live out in the woods. Bullshit. Excuse my language. Dairy Queen, yeah. One of the things you'll find, Joseph, um, most small places, you might be going through, you're traveling. You go through a little town, traveling. Just about every little town, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 people, they'll have a Dairy Queen. That seems to be the franchise that everybody will have. The next thing that'll be there is you'll have a gas station and there'll be a Subway in it. There'll be a Subway, and you may be someplace and there may be a Whataburger. A little bit bigger places may have a Whataburger. There may be there may be a McDonald's. One or the other. You'll have everything. Now you go through some larger places, they'll have everything. They'll have all the different little. There'll be a Sonic drive-in, and you'll have all these different little places. Sometimes you're dealing with the county seat. Some of these little counties, you got the county seat, and the county seat will have a little bit more. Especially if it's on the road traveled, if it's on a travelway where you got all the people coming through, passing through, truckers and people traveling, going to bigger places. Yeah, you'll have some more. But all these little places you will usually have a Dairy Queen, and then there'll be one or two mom and pops places, little cafes and such. But there'll usually be a Dairy Queen. And then I like, if it's run well, I like DQ. I like Dairy Queen. Yoda Vintage Cards, my friend David. How you doing, Dave? Thanks for coming by. Yeah. A lot of times it depends on what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with. You know, you get these little places that are like, and Dairy Queen's, it's a mom and pop operation. Um, if you get the old folks going to it, if you got the older folks going to it, it's a decent place. You go in and you see some older folks in there, you know it's a decent place. And it's being run to take care of the family. You know, you're talking about. Oh shit. I don't know. Oh God. I gotta turn that down. I don't know what to tell you. I am cursed with technology. I am bloody well cursed with technology. Josh, thanks for coming in. I think you and Claudette stuck with me. It just crashed out on me, went down, and I don't know. I was playing with it, and I was trying to. It said it was still running. It was in a loop, and then and I just, I don't know. I bloody well don't know. Devil Dog Prepper, welcome. You're coming in right after a crash. Damn. I don't know. It's like my cough. Um, Talk about SHTF. I just experienced another SHTF condition. A localized one. Oh, man. I don't know. Don't know. Says 6 in the house. 13 likes. Am I still sick? I still have a little bit of a cough, and I still have a runny nose, and I'm still spitting up slime. But other than that, which is gross, I'm here. You know, I don't have any fever. I don't hurt. It just, I just have these lingering conditions. Lingering conditions. I guess it's better. I have been, I've just been trying to get through the end of the school year. I've got 3 more weeks of school before the school year ends. Everybody's waiting to receive their contracts for this coming year. They're slow in getting them out. I've had my summative conference. The school principal announced at a meeting we had Wednesday evening that all the positions were filled for next year. And they're going to be bringing in a couple of rookies for special ed because, we're shorthanded trying to get, trying to fill some positions. Special ed is something hard to find. It's hard to find special ed teachers. It's hard to find teachers who are certified to teach special ed. And, I'm the only what they call retiree hiree in my school. I retired. I get a retirement check. Now I've returned to work. I'm working as a teacher, and I get a paycheck. I just made arrangements to have my retirement check deposited into my account. I traditionally will just get a check in the mail, the end of the month, beginning of the month. Then I go deposit it, and I just send in for automatic deposit. And I think I'm going to do the same thing with my electric bill. Most of my bills automatically come out, but my electric bill does not. So I think I'm going to go over and set it up for automatic payment. And that'll be one less headache that I have. Just like one less headache of having to go and get my retirement check and go and take it and deposit it. You know. You know, bushcrafting is neat. It really is. Learning to do that kind of stuff. I loved the scouts. I learned a lot of leather working. I had all the tools. I used to do. I'd make wallets. I would make pocket protectors. I would do stuff. Make a sheath for a knife. You know, I did a lot of making a belt. I did a lot of leather working when I was a boy. It was one of the, it was a badge, one of the badges. How to build a safe fire that won't take off and burn the forest down. How to use flint, flint and steel. How to start a fire. People will do the little. They'll have the little char cloth, and they'll have some wood chips. They'll have prepped up, and they'll start a little fire. They'll do a fire. Fired up Friday. And how many strikes does it take to light the fire? They've been doing that forever. That's a technology that's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. One of the things that distinguished us from the animals, our intelligence, our ability to use technology, our ability to make fire. Um, they find more and more remains of stuff to indicate our technology, you know our abilities go farther back than they thought. What we were doing goes farther back than they thought. How long have we been farming? You know, how long have we been growing crops? How long have we been sedentary? Where we'd make, we would build houses, we'd make structures. And so sometimes find some amazing stuff. The idea being, well, how long does something last? You build a wooden structure, how long will it last? Will there be remains 1,000 years from now? If somebody goes digging around, will they find the remains of your house 1,000 years from now, made out of wood? And they occasionally find something that's just, they can't believe how old it is, and they start questioning it. You know, people look at the scriptures and they say, well, the earth is 6,000 years old. And they talk about, the creation. And I have no question, I have no question about creation. I have no question about the order of creation. How could some primitive person thousands of years ago with no technology be able to write down the order of creation and get it right? How could somebody, if it was not given to them, divinely inspired? And you, you know, when you're dealing with the divine, we can't conceive. We can't conceive, you know, like the mind of God. You know, who are we? Who am I? I mean, I'm not a genius. I'm not stupid. I'm on the bright normal side, you know, slightly above average. But you could be the brightest person in the world and you could not conceive what God can conceive. And you're arrogant to think you could. My little rant on religion. I got to be careful. Uncle Al says, be careful. I might get the CCP upset with me. I've been looking at a lot of stuff. Uh, I've been looking at a lot of stuff, you know, on the news, little news clips about stuff. Um, I would think that a judge, you know, I would think that somebody that went to law school, to begin with, you have an undergraduate degree in pre-law or some sort of um, area of studies that can segue into a law school. And then you go for 3 additional years to get a law degree, and you got to pass the bar exam. And you would think that somebody as a lawyer would be on the upper scale, brighter end, sort of like the idea of somebody who could make it to be a medical doctor. They'd have to be fairly bright. You know, your normal person wouldn't be able to acquire and attain the knowledge and retain the knowledge and the amount of knowledge that they need to have to be a physician, you know, modern physician. Get through medical school, all the tests and everything. You got to have a pre-med degree, 4 years, and then you go 4 years of medical school, and then you go, you're a resident, and then you're an intern, and you know you do shit. It takes you 10 years to be a doctor. Become a medical doctor takes about 10 years. And you think about some of these people, and I often wonder, how can somebody who is so intelligent to be able to become a doctor or be able to become a lawyer and then be as stupid as they are when it comes to common sense and the way they see things? You know, it's just beyond me. It's beyond me. Hello, Melinda. Are we live? I think so. Linda Elliott, Mike Crusher, welcome. Mike, that was an excellent review you did. I really enjoyed it. Can't beat a Canadian IMP. Can't beat one. To my knowledge. And thank you for linking channels, Claudette. Appreciate it. And thank you for the 15 likes, guys. Appreciate it. 9 in the house. I don't know. one thing I've noticed about kids that, you know, the life skills kids, the ones that are intellectually, lower, they tend to be happy. They tend to be very happy. You know, they're just enjoying life. They they're lovable. Most of them, they treat people well. They're very friendly. They like to hug. They like food. They like the finer things in life. And some of the other people, some of the most miserable people you'll ever meet, some of them, you get kids who are, they're called emotionally disturbed, ED. They hate life. They hate their lives. They hate life. They hate everybody. A lot of them. They very cross. They don't they don't respect authority. They're very negative. You know, their outlook is very negative. And some of them aren't too bright, and some of them are normal, intellectually normal. But they tend to, you know, um, when I was growing up, and I grew up in the '70s. I was a teenager in the '70s, and everybody that I knew was older than me. I'm an only child. My aunts and uncles were all older. You know, my mother was 40 when she had me. She was the middle child. So my aunts and uncles by marriage, all of them. Um, everybody's when I'm a teenager, everybody's in their 50s and 60s. The people that I associated with, my family, my cousins were all, they would see me as a kid because they were like 40 years old. I'm a teenager. They see me as a kid. And some of them were pretty bright, and some of them were not too bright. And then they didn't want to. The younger ones, and these are people older than me, they didn't really want to. My first cousins, most of them, I didn't have anything to do with them. I didn't have a lot to do with my second cousins. My aunts and uncles, yes, I enjoyed spending time with my aunts and uncles. We would play cards and we would play dominoes. We would play 42 and bridge, where you play in teams, 2 and 2. 42, playing teams, 2 and 2. Moon. Um, play different games. And we would talk, we'd talk history, we'd talk the news, we'd talk religion, we'd talk about stuff. They were mature, educated. You know, they had lived life. They were bright and wise, and I enjoyed spending time with them. And those were the people I enjoyed talking to. I really didn't enjoy talking to people my age because it was just like, duh, you know. And I had a lot of the interests that people my age did. I like girls, but they tended to be airheads, you know, as far as, they barely knew what was going on. But they were basically being brought up to be wives and mothers and domestic, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. All down through history, there's nothing wrong with that. But today, the way things are, Um, some things have not changed, and some things have changed. Everybody's attached to their cell phone. They can be in the same room and they're having a conversation, texting back and forth. And they want to text when they're eating, text in the bathroom. Haven't been to church recently, but they're probably in there texting at church. Somebody doesn't get onto them. In Facebook or Meta, or you want to call it, Twitter, Instagram, Messenger, whatever you want to call that crap. I don't know. So, intelligence, yes. Cynicism is a sign of intelligence. Well, kids don't read today. We get a monthly magazine called Scope. It's for language arts. I give it to them. You think they care anything about that? I'll read articles to them. We'll talk about stuff that's covered in Scopes. Um, I don't know. A lot of kids that are supposedly homeschooled, they're not getting any. They're not getting any schooling. There's no schooling. When I was studying and training to be a teacher, and studying special education and regular education, taking all the courses and everything, the goal at the time, if you could get somebody to function on a fifth grade level, if academically they could read and write math on a fifth grade level, they could get by. That's the level at which they can function where they can basically take care of themselves. If academically they can function at a fifth grade level. And I really think the Europeans, from the standpoint of, you're 15, 16 years old, they give you a test. You're either on a vocational track where they teach you a trade, or you could be on a higher track depending on how you do. And I would say that maybe 1 in 5 would be on that higher track. 80% need to be on a trade track. And you get a lot more that they want to, like the idea that they dumb things down, or they, this DEI or whatever, or they basically, they want to accept more whatever for equity or whatever. I think that's a bunch of crap. A lot of this protesting that's going on right now, these communist professors, these Marxists or socialists, whatever you want to call them, the ones that are raising hell, they're getting arrested too. I'm a professor of what? And yeah, you get some of these people, and they're supposed professors. They don't know how to dress. They're arrogant. You know, when I'm out and about, I'm very low key. I tell my kids this. I talk to the kids. I talk to my aides. I talk to younger teachers. I'll advise an AP. Talk to a couple of the APs. I talk to them. One of them's very receptive, and one of them's a little arrogant. From the standpoint of, you know, like, hey, I was an administrator for 23 years, different levels, and you get like the first or second year assistant principals. Uh, I'll advise them about stuff. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't, or they got to follow whatever, you know. And this stuff I learned, administration speaks with one voice. We need to be in agreement what's going to be said, what's going to go. Once we're having a meeting about something, we need to know when we're going into it. Here's the line we're taking. You know, so that, especially if you got a parent in front of you, you communicate. You got to be very careful. Like written communication, you got to be very careful what you put in written communications. You know, can you defend what you put into it? Just common sense stuff. Damn. So many people wouldn't know common sense if it bit them in the butt. Well, that's the idea of the state assessments. Once you get to third grade, they on an annual basis will test you in reading and math. And then it was in used to be in grade 4, in grade 7 they test you in writing. So in grade 4 it'd be reading, writing, and math. You get to grade 6, they test you in science and social studies as well. Actually, excuse me, in grade 8 they test you in science and social studies. I'm talking about in Texas. And then when you get to high school, you have um, you've got graduate exams, courses that you have to pass. You have to pass an exam in English 1, English 2, Algebra 1, biology, and U.S. history. In order to graduate. And you got to meet a certain you got a standard. And then they waive stuff for special ed kids, so you know. And the diplomas, they're all the same. They don't get like a special ed diploma. All the diplomas are the same, but the transcripts would indicate when you get to a transcript. So like the idea of them wanting to go to college, you know. Well, the transcript would indicate, and that would be very limiting what they could do, you know. Well, my mother taught me a lot, so that when I went to start school, I already knew a lot of the stuff that they taught the kids in the early grades. I already knew that stuff. But I got to the point, like you're reading. I read about my interest, so I would read religion, history, philosophy, psychology, archaeology, anthropology. Those were my interests. Astronomy. I was loved astronomy when I was a kid, and I would read about that stuff. Advanced mathematics did not interest me. I, I learned all the basic stuff. Add, subtract, multiply, divide. You know your multiplication facts. You learn that 12 times 12 is 144. The kids today don't. They can't multiply. They've got to have a calculator. They don't know it in their head. They can't regroup. A lot of them. They can't do regrouping. Um, and I'm trying to. They want you to. You got an individual plan for my IP or whatever. You're working on objectives with them, but it's like, well, they're not capable of doing grade level work. You do diagnostic testing on them with the programs that you have, and they're 3 or 4 grade levels academically behind, and you want me to work with them on their grade level? You know, I can remember when I was a uh, career and technology principal. I was the career and technology principal for the district. I was over all of the career education vocational programs, all those classes. We had a special campus, and then they had classes at the high schools, you know. And I oversaw that. My program, I oversaw that. And and you'd have the principals going in, and they would be on to the career teachers to be pushing academics. And it's like, well, I've got a master carpenter or a master, construction trades teacher, electrician, a welder, a engine man or a body man, teaching body work and painting, different, career paths, cosmetology, and then you want them to be teaching academics to work on their exam stuff. It's like that's not their role, and that's not what they do. And it maybe they're only a high school graduate, but they're a master at their trade, and they're teaching based on that they're a master at their trade, and they're teaching their trade, which a lot of it's hands-on physical type stuff. And there's technical manuals, and such that they, but I mean, you're wanting them to if you're it's just like in special ed, you get a special education student that you test, they take the STAR test. If you're depending on their scores to bump up your school score, you're looking the wrong direction, because that's not going to happen. You know, and a lot of people understand that, and there's some people that don't. You know, well, you gotta try, and you gotta, blah 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 blah. It's like, it's not. I'm trying to teach these kids how to behave. I'm in a behavioral unit. I'm teaching them. I'm trying to teach them how to control their tempers, and how to respect their elders, and how to behave in social situations. And I'm working on it. I mean, I teach all the core area classes. They're in there with me for all these classes, and I have stuff that I have them do on a daily basis. Related to these different subjects. But I've got 3 kids I'm trying to teach how to read. See that clock on the wall up there? Half my class can't read that clock. What time is it? You say, how can that be? Well, it's the truth. And then I'm working on them, and now I got them where they can read, like, you can see the small hand. They can read that, and they can tell you, well, it's such and such. How many minutes after? And they can't do that part. But they can look at it, and maybe it says 8 o'clock, and they can tell you it's 8 o'clock. 8:00 what? They can't look. I'm looking over at the computer screen, and my iPad, and I think it's like 8:02, 8:03, maybe. I don't know. I'm blind. Oh, gotta turn around and look. Okay, it's 2 minutes to 8. 3 minutes to 8. 2 or 3 minutes to 8. But they can't tell you this 2 or 3 minutes to 8. Like trying to teach them how to sign their signature in cursive. They don't write in cursive, they print. Trying to teach them how to basically sign their signature in cursive. It's not quite as bad as make your X, make your mark. But I mean, that's what I'm working with. And I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm trying to get them ready for it to be adults, productive adults. You don't have to be good in academics to be a productive adult if you got a work ethic. You know. Well, it is what it is. And I could, I jokingly say, I could get Joe Biden reelected. I don't think he's going to be reelected, but I could get him reelected if he do a few things that just he wouldn't. That they would not do it to save their souls. They would not do it. This common sense stuff that's got their own people pissed off at them. Because even though you're dealing with Democrats, some of them aren't insane. Some of them have got a little common sense. And I jokingly talk to people. I say I could get him reelected, but he'd have to do certain things, and he won't do it. He would not do it. You know. And back in the days when a lot of people were changing parties, back when Reagan, a lot of people left the Democratic Party and became Republicans. There was a big shift. Big shift. And I had relatives that, back in the days, they'd always been Democrats. Everybody always voted Democrat. No way they're going to vote for Republican. Jimmy Carter, oh God. No, hell no. They're going to vote, they're going to vote for whatever damn nut liberal, no matter how bad it was. I'm going to double the taxes. They got to vote for him. And I got to the point where it's like, well, if they're that bad when they die off, it's a good thing. If they're going to be that bad about it, they die, it's a good thing. Of course, in some places, they'd still vote. Remember the dead vote in certain places. And like I said, I could clean up the education process in a hurry. One thing you have to do is you have to restore paddling. Teachers have to have the right to paddle their students. The parents don't have a damn thing to say about it. It's the way it used to be. Parents didn't have anything to say about it. Well, that's true, Wayne. They want followers. But when they took the ability to spank a child away from the teachers, that really hurt discipline. It got to a point where you had to have parental consent. Well, the parents that will consent to their kids being spanked, those aren't the kids that need to be spanked. It's the ones that will not allow their kids to be spanked and the ones that desperately need spanking. You're not going to touch my child, and then they want to know why they're in prison or dead. Oh, they're on trial for something that's going to put them away for 20 years to life. He was a good boy. He always behaved at home. As an administrator, I can spank your child or I can send them to the district alternative center. You're not going to touch my child. All right. And then they get in trouble over there, and then they expel them. They do something, they get expelled. When they get a little bit older, they get in trouble with the law. And if they're in an area that's not woke, and that doesn't have like one of those leftist appointed, paid for prosecutors or district attorneys or whatever, and they enforce the law, they'll find out. They'd be very popular in prison. Very popular. And you know, and the thing is, uh, if you think I was bloodthirsty and I love spanking kids, no, no, I really did not enjoy it. Now I will tell you this: there were a few kids that were SOBs, that were just SOBs, and occasionally, yeah, I enjoyed occasionally if it was one of those kids. Most of them, you know, I can do this or I can do this. How do you want to handle it? And it was the job. But yeah, there are people out there that enjoy hurting people. I don't. You know. Also, a couple of kids I'd seen that wanted me to spank them when they get in trouble, and I wouldn't do it. And the reason I wouldn't do it was because I'd seen their parents spank them. You know, parent shows up with their own paddle, looks sort of like mine, but beat the hell out of that kid. And they weren't getting them like 3 swats; they were like 7 or 8 swats, and I mean, like trying to hit a home run, hitting them hard. I could probably hit that hard, but no, I wasn't trying to cause bodily, you know, permanent injury to them. And I'd never spank a kid like that because I'd never hit them the way that their parent hits them. And they wanted me to spank. They got in trouble. They wanted me to spank them, so I'd find a different way to punish them. The idea is to make it hurt, mentally hurt, to make them think about it. You know, that was the idea. You know, the other thing is they do need to respect you. Like mom, you got kids, you got teenagers. They got to respect you. If they respect you when they're little, they'll respect you when they're older. And you can talk to them and you can reason with them. And you can punish them mentally the way you talk to them, shaming them. You know, you don't want to be in a situation where you've got one of your kids threatening you, you know, or physically trying to be aggressive with you. And there are people who have that happen. You know, and then when somebody offers to take care of the problem, somebody that can handle themselves says, "I'll take care of it for you. You want me to discipline your child?" They don't want to because they don't want their child. They don't want to get their child have somebody knock the shit out of their child. Excuse my language. You know, and sometimes you have a kid disrespect somebody, and it's like they want to try to get physical with them, and you know, um, they love their child. They don't want anybody, even though their child's wrong or even though their child's disrespectful to them, like mothers, they don't want somebody to physically knock the crap out of their child. You know, well, spare the rod, damn the child. You know, my uncle Howard, may he rest in peace, told me the story about when he was a boy. He was 7, 8, 9 years old. His grandfather was a Baptist pastor at the local church. and he interrupted them saying grace. They were having Sunday dinner one day, and they were all there. You know, my grandfather, may he rest in peace, I never met. He was gone, and I guess Pastor Howell, was trying to help out and spend time with his daughter's family and everything. My grandmother, and my uncle interrupted when he was saying a prayer. He backhanded him across the room. Nobody said a damn word. And Uncle Howard remembered that all of his life and never, it was a learning experience, never did that again. And he was 7, 8, 9 years old at the time. And he was telling me the story probably 20 years ago. He was 70-ish, 70s. Back when I used to go visit regularly, it was in his 60s and 70s. You know. And yeah, he remembered that. That taught him that was a life-changing experience. So, yep, yep. Yeah, I still got a cough. Crap, I need to take some more cough medicine. I'll let you watch me medicate myself. Lord. 10 millimeters. 10 milliliters. Okay. God almighty. The crap that I go through. Tastes a little bit cherry. Ugh. Prescription cough, whatever. Buc-ee's? Yeah, I go to Buc-ee's on occasion. We don't have one in Victoria. The nearest one we have is over in Port Lavaca, which is about 25 miles from here. But yeah, I love Buc-ee's. Well, you have to protect the children. There are predators out there. You got a lot of these grooming types. They want to groom them and they want to molest them and such. You got to watch out for that kind of crap. I've got one female student. She's going on 12. I have a heart for her. I have daughters, so I protect her from the boys. I try to keep the boys from messing with her and disrespecting her. And every once in a while, one of them will threaten to do something to her because she aggravates them because she doesn't have a lot of filter. She's like sort of autistic on the spectrum, and I protect her. Had one of my aides say he wanted to get her after school, and I walked her to her car, her parents' car, waved and everything. She appreciated it. Yeah, you know. No, you mean the medicine? Buckley's? No, I've never tried that. Nope. So, I did three. I think I did three. I did three shorts today. Each one of them has over 400 views. I did a couple of community wall post shout outs. Most of you in here I shouted out. Sorry. The drainage. Nasty. I will plan on being back tomorrow. I need to do a video of my Pecron power station. It's a real nice one. I got it for third off. I need to do an unboxing of my Blue Eddy 70, Model 70. It's nice. Hadn't unboxed that one yet. Probably need to do a video of my 12 volt Bouge RV fridge freezer. Plan on buying another one. I like them. It's on wheels. Good stuff for prepping. Um, Remember, the Scout motto is be prepared. The idea of prepping is to be prepared for, something life throws up at you. Have food and water, bottled water, food, canned food, packaged food, stuff that'll last. You don't have to refrigerate. If you take medication, have a supply of your medication. Have hygiene, a means for hygiene, a means for, um, you need to be able to protect yourself. Got to think about those kind of things. Uh, Life is good, but it is what it is. Every day when you wake up in the morning, thank God for the day and say the Lord's Prayer. It's the Lord's Prayer, you know. And we pray to the God of heaven, not to the God of this earth. And you should know the distinction between the God of heaven and the God of this earth, you know. Everybody, please have a blessed day, and we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, for another edition of Coffee Talk, 7 p.m. Bye. Thank you.